Welcome to the Focus Fundraiser. This is where I get to discuss how to focus on the right fundraising practices with experts who are in the trenches doing the hard work. Because something that we believe that the goal of life and of fundraising and of everything shouldn't be to do everything. It should be to focus on what matters most. And today's guest is Kerry Lowry, who is the founder of the M25 Initiative in Nevada. And if you've ever struggled to tell a complicated impact story or felt like your donor relationships were shallower than they really should be, I hope this conversation is going to be useful to you. So, Kerry, welcome to the show. Can't wait to dive into it with you. Start us off and tell us a little bit about yourself and your path into the nonprofit sector.
All right. Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And so a little bit about my story. I have some lived experience, unfortunately, with being homeless for a short time and some addiction and due to, a divorce and just being in a bad situation. But afterwards, it was more of like a mindset change that I needed to have to be able to, pull myself up from the boots by my bootstraps and move forward because I was like, I don't want this kind of life for me or my kids or my grandkids. And so I started researching. I was listening to a lot of podcasts. I've listened to the Focus Fundraiser podcast when I was starting my nonprofit. And and then I began down this journey. I just felt called to do it really to focus on people in reentry. So, homelessness, coming out of rehab for addiction recovery and incarceration. And I started the M25 Initiative here in Reno, Nevada, serving mostly Northern Nevada currently. And we started out with programs going into the prisons and into rehabs and teaching finding purpose workshop that I created and just providing support services. We're still working on that prison relationship. We just have to fine tune some things before we actually get into the prisons with our program. But they love it and have invited us in. So I think that's really cool. But we just really wanted to provide those support services to avoid recidivism and really help people with that moral rehabilitation back into society and be better neighbors and mothers and fathers and employees. And then it developed into now we're in sober living housing. So we've only been around for a year and a half and we have grown quite significantly. It's a pretty great ride though. It's been awesome being able to help people.
A
Yeah.
year and a half is amazing. I actually didn't know that
Yeah.
you guys have a ton from the research that I've done. Tell us a little bit
Thank
more
you.
about that story of growing in the last year and a half, because a lot of what you guys are doing is you are a hard to quantify organization is what I call it. So I think a lot of nonprofits struggle with this, which is how do they fundraise and communicate the impact that their organization is making? I'd be curious to know your story on that.
Oh, how do we fundraise? And um I think a lot of this just really started with just some of the grassroots stuff, going to churches and friends and businesses around and just telling them what we're doing. Funny enough, we haven't gotten any big sponsorships. We kind of have been doing it by the seat of our pants, but fundraising is where it's kind of turned the corner for us. When last year we had our first events ever, we went from just having a launch 2 Novembers ago in 2024. We had our launch, and then that helped us just raise some funds. And it's really about building those relationships with the community and letting them know like this is what we want to do and we're wanting to impact the community. And even at the time, like we didn't have anything like set in stone, But they heard our stories and, they knew my heart, and I was very transparent with people and just, trying to build that trust with them. And so I think that that's really where it comes off is just being genuine and, letting them know that, like, "Hey, I've got a story, and I wanna help other people that have been in the same situation that I have been in." And so that started to kinda snowball, and we had probably 4 events last year, and they weren't huge events, but, like a paint and sip night in a sober living or in a sober bar, all the way up to our resource fair, and, it's a lot of hard work just trying to, get the community involved, but once they see that, like, you're serious and you're doing it with the heart and the compassion to really make a difference in the community, they're, willing to stand beside you and help you out. So, it's, um the fundraising has probably been, a lifesaver for us, and again, it's we haven't gotten any grants or anything like that, but just getting out there, boots on the ground, and talking to businesses and in your community, and so it's been really great, and now, like, seeing us a year and a half later where we're at now, and people are starting to recognize us, and they're like, they're actually doing the things that they said that they were gonna do, and so more people are like, "Okay, well, let's help them out a little bit," and, whether it's giving us, free furniture for our sober living house or, allowing us in to their facilities to be able to talk and grow these relationships with their clients so that we can help them, and, um, but it's been a great journey.
So you guys, you've grown. You're working on in the prison system now, and working through programming there. But you've also gotten into many rehab facilities,
Yes.
and so you've grown a lot in a year and a half. And
Yeah.
you're talking about fundraising. Do you feel like there was an inflection point that made this growth possible? Was it how you focused on it, a specific donor, a strategy? What was it?
I think it was more of a strategy, um, and I'm not gonna lie, like, I'm still trying to figure out what that looks like for us, because I think it's constantly growing and learning. Like, I mean, with the technology changing and AI, um, you're gonna constantly have to improve the way that you talk to people because, the car dealership down the street has had probably 10 other people like myself in the community come and ask them for money, you know? So, like, how do you do it differently? And I, feel like it's really, I wouldn't say it was like an inflection point, but it was more or less just, the, um, like, consistency and showing up and, and just not going in and just asking people, "Hey, can, you give us money for our fundraiser, or can you sponsor our event?" or whatever, but it was really genuinely showing people that we care, and I feel like, that heart behind what we do has been, what people's that's really, like, the forefront of it all is what people see, and so, but I never fundraised before starting a nonprofit. I never had that skill. I didn't know what to do. So a lot of that has been a huge learning curve for me. But again, like when you just talking to people and building those relationships and just being honest with them, I think is really what's turned it. And I guess that would be kind of my strategy is, building relationships and knowing that it's not gonna happen right away. It's gonna be a slow growth if you start that way, but, people see that you're genuine and that you care, and so that's my strategy.
Yeah, that's so good. We have a saying at Donor Doc of, so you talked about automation and AI a bit. We say that AI is an exponent to the human relationship. It can't replace it.
Yeah.
It can only
No, you
scale.
can't.
Yeah. So I think the relationship part of it, so many nonprofit founders like yourself, you get into it for the mission, for the impact that you're doing, and many are terrible at asking and fundraising correctly. So
It
do you
terrifies
feel
me.
like yeah, and it still does, right? So what do you feel
Right.
like separates fundraisers who break through from the ones who stay stuck?
Not being consistent and doing it for the wrong reasons. I feel like people who do it just to who really don't do it for the heart behind like what they're doing it for, or not being, when it's difficult is when people give up, right? And they're like, I'm not getting anybody. I'm not getting any funding. Nobody's sponsoring us. Nobody's donating to us. And this is a lot of hard work. Yeah, it's a lot of hard work, but it pays off. And I feel like that's what really separates people is from those that are successful at doing it, is those that just consistently show up and show people that like, hey, we're not going anywhere. We're gonna do what we say we're gonna do with the money that we're raising, and just being clear about it and showing people, following up. I guess the follow up game is also really huge, and letting people know like what you're doing with the funds that you've raised, whether it's in a newsletter or YouTube, or sending them an email blast, whatever it is, like just letting them know that like, hey, look what your money is going towards, and taking pictures and just being open and transparent about that.
Yeah. Yeah, donor retention, it's such an important piece that gets often neglected because you've got goals to raise new money, and so it can feel like you're wasting time, working on the donors that are already giving you money, but retention rates are dropping. We all know that from the statistics across the sector. From what you've seen, what you've experienced, what are you investing in with your time and your budget and your resources to make that more of a priority?
Oh, well, I personally am investing in a lot more time in trying to build my donor database with like a CRM tool, and um just that, like I said, that continuous email and follow up and newsletters, and sending pictures out, and social media. I'd say those are the two biggest places that I'm really focused on right now. We again are a small organization. We have been doing this a lot of the time by the seat of our pants, but it's our donors who have really helped us not only stay afloat, but be able to accomplish so much in such a small amount of time. And so, I've also been, um, taking thank you cards personally to the businesses that have helped, whether it's give us free stuff or donated to us. And so, I would say that's really where I'm focusing on my time, is like not just building those relationships, but growing that database. And it's it's very time consuming, but it's worth it in the long run, for sure.
Yeah, do you find that I mean, of course, DonorDoc is a CRM, and so we have a strong belief in the foundational piece of the data that you have around your donors and how you use it. How are
Yeah.
you so you said it's time consuming, but it's worth it. How is it worth it? Break it down for me. How are you using your database?
So, um, when I go to a networking event, or I'm out in the community doing stuff, or even, people will check up with me on my phone. And they'll say, I get your newsletters. I see what you're doing. That's really awesome. Thanks for keeping in touch with us. That gratitude, that appreciation that I get just out in the community and from people recognizing that we are trying, even though we are small, we're trying to be mighty. and, trying to let them know that, like, what they do is it matters, and, it's helping change lives. And so, I would say just the that recognition, it goes a long ways, and, taking that CRM tool, whether it's, reaching out in the newsletters or, just, I mean, I'm still trying to learn everything that I can do with the CRM tool and, but, um, and using AI, of course, to make my processes a little bit smoother and more efficient too. But, I just love when other people, they recognize that when I'm out and about and they let me know that like, "Hey, I appreciate it. Thanks for reaching out and letting us know what you've been doing."
You probably unintentionally used words that I think are very important, so I wanna ask you about it.
Of
You talked
course.
about talking to your donors where they're making the impact and they're, driving change in their community, not supporting you to do it. That is a
Yeah.
storytelling piece, right? Putting them as the hero of the story, that you're developing. What's some instincts that you would recommend nonprofits to use with especially around hard to quantify outcomes? How do you storytell around that?
Mhm. Let's see. So, I don't so let me just give you an example of something that like what we've done. We had a flooring company, Rick's Flooring Decor in Carson City, donate flooring to us for our sober living house. The house was kind of a wreck when we took it over from some squatters, and um we had somebody connect us to him, and he was so generous and was able to give us enough flooring to be able to do the majority of the rooms, and it's a six-bedroom house, like, it's a pretty big place, and, being able to, like, take pictures of it and, post it online and, send out emails and show people, like, you're not just donating flooring to a house for us to install. Like, as soon as that floor is done, we move someone in that might have been living in their car or might have been living on the streets or just recently got incarcerated or released from being incarcerated, and they don't have a place to go, and now they have a safe, sober place, a roof over their head. They can take a warm shower. They can go get a job now. They can eat a meal and, have a good night's sleep on a bed. And that is changing somebody's life. And it's not just changing their life, but it's changing the people around them and that they influence's life because now they see that like, oh, this person is doing better. They have a job and now they have a story to tell, right? And we also want to teach them how to do what we're doing. So from somebody donating flooring, just something as simple as that, um, they have made such a huge impact in not just one person's life but an entire community of people that we serve, and when they see that, it's life-changing for a lot of people, and, we have a couple more rooms that we have to get done, and, we have a waiting list right now, and those people also, their lives will be changed all because of some paint and floors that were donated, and so I think that that is, like, that's quantifiable. That's huge. And even if so I would say like even if you had an organization and somebody donates $100, how are you going to use that to best impact somebody's life or whatever it is you're doing? Like how are you going to use that to tell the story so that other people would want to give but would really see like what you're doing to um, fulfill your story with your nonprofit.
You gave me goosebumps telling that story. I mean, that's the power of story, right? It connects something
Right?
so simple as flooring to the actual impact. So, but
Absolutely. Yeah, it's
yeah,
saving their
congrats
lives.
on that. Yeah,
Oh, thank
it's
you. I
so good.
appreciate that. It takes a community. It really does.
All right. I always end with what I call the tactical takeaway question, which is just something very practical that fundraisers can do today. So, Kerry, what is one thing that every fundraiser should do today that you believe matters most?
Knowledge. So I think listening to a podcast like this and not just obtaining that knowledge, but acting on it. So our belief in our nonprofit is to learn, implement, and teach. So once we learn something new, we're going to implement that, and then we're going to teach the people that we're serving how to do the same thing. So, whether it's listening to a podcast like this or reading a book, my favorite one is right now, I have lots of favorites, but right now it's Expert Leadership by the Benham brothers. And so I think just taking that knowledge and actually implementing it. A lot of people listen to podcasts, a lot of people read books, but they don't do anything with that knowledge. So implementing it for sure.
That's such good advice. I love that.
Thank you.
Kerry,
I
thank you so
appreciate
much
it.
for bringing a grounded perspective to this and sharing very openly what your organization is doing, its successes and its failures. Fantastic. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much, Rob. I really appreciate the opportunity to share it.
Yeah. If you're curious about how DonorDoc can help you find that clarity and build a strong donor retention through smart stewardship, visit us at donordoc.com to learn more, and we will see you next week.